All right, guys, we're back on the Next Level Agents podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Kaufman, as you know, and this is part two in our series. What's going to be four parts. Very short, very bite-sized episodes here as we get through the dog days of summer. And I hope you enjoy it. But just like last week, before I start, I want to talk to you about something very special to me, and that is the Next Level Agents live event, December 5th and 6th, Scottsdale, Arizona. Do me a favor, go to nlalive.com right now, nlalive.com right now, and register while tickets are still on sale and as cheap as they're going to be. We have an amazing 2 days of speakers with keynotes as well as breakout sessions planned for you here in Scottsdale, December 5th and 6th, 2023. NLAlive.com. You do not want to miss this. We should be announcing speakers any day now. And I promise you, this will be the event of the year. This will blow away any other real estate conference ever. Why? Mainly because Fred and I are picky assholes, and we are very cautious about, number one, who we put on stage, the way the day runs. Like, you won't see a whole bunch of panels where people get 30 seconds to say something and then you don't really learn it. You will get actionable items from people in the trenches doing the types of things that you need to be doing to make sure 2024, because again, we're doing this in December, so you want to make sure 2024 is like set up, and we're going to help you do that. December 5th and 6th. Go to nlalive.com right now. That's nlalive.com and pick up your tickets. All right, so back to regularly scheduled programming. So last week we talked about kind of like the first two things that are required for running an amazing business, right? Whether you're a solo agent or an entrepreneur who maybe has 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 people working for you, right? And those first two things that you've got to be nailing are, number one, having a predictable environment, and then number two, keeping score. Not going back into those. Go back and listen to last week's episode. It's very short, just like this week's will be. And so this week we're going to follow up with item 3 and item 4. And this is what it is. Massively successful business owners actively plan and manage their time. See, successful business owners plan their days, their weeks, and they leverage a calendar to block time. And they, for the most part, honor those time blocks. Now, listen, why do I say for the most part they honor those time blocks? It's because life happens, right? Unless you're a robot, I don't think you are you? Unless you're a robot, you're not going to be 100% like able to follow something because life's going to happen. Something's going to come up. Now, hopefully you're not allowing like emergencies from your client, quote unquote, emergencies from your clients come up and letting that be the thing that stops you. Because as I always have said, my entire career in real estate, there was no such thing as an emergency in real estate. So hopefully you're not letting a real estate emergency pop up because everything can wait. But so they mostly honor their time blocks, right? So there's always going to be some random unplanned work that occurs. But for the most part, massively successful business owners follow a schedule. And this kind of goes sort of hand in hand with one of the points I shared last week, which was the predictable environment. Like there's a cadence to what goes on in their every day and every week and every month and things like that. And this is another one that's key for me on this action or this point of massively successful people, which is massively successful people share their calendar openly with others. Now, for some of us, that looks like we've got an assistant who has access to it. In my case, my assistant has access. My business partner has access. And then I've got a bunch of partners, both on my team and within my community, that have access to my calendar as well, that they can go on and just schedule time to be with me at any time, right? So for some people, like my assistant, my business partner, they can actually see everything I'm doing all the time. And then there's a much larger group of people that just have access to it. Now, I'm not trying to say this is as easy as having like a Calendly link. That's not what I'm suggesting. But I am suggesting we have a calendar, we follow it, we mostly honor it, right? Probably not 100%. I think 100% is unrealistic. And then we've got it's openly shared with other people, right? And I think it's really important to share with other people because it keep you honest, right? If you got, hey, I've got a call night scheduled, and I can see that on your calendar, like, what do you think the chances are of you holding that call night? Probably 100%, right? Because you know that I've seen it already. So I think there's a lot of value in that. So that's item number 3. And then item 4, you've got to leverage. This is item number 4 of or point 4, if you will, of what massively successful business owners do, which is they leverage their personal work time. See, um, every day, it's your every work day. Okay, let me reschedule that because it's not a Monday through Sunday. It's not a 7 day a week thing. At least in my opinion, it's not. Um, you've got weekly and in some cases daily uh, chunks of time blocked out to exclusively work on personal projects um, outside of like your job, right? So if you're a team leader, say that's in production, then you've got a certain amount of time dedicated to selling real estate, right? You might also have a certain amount of time dedicated to recruiting and hiring real estate agents. But here's the deal, like when I say personal projects, I'm referring to a lot of things, right? Some of those things being strategic planning, reviewing the data. We talked about keeping score in last week's episode. Um, Maybe writing material for a podcast or for a class that you might be teaching, and even getting ready for one-on-one meetings. Great, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to show up to a meeting, and whether it's a one-on-one meeting or a meeting with a client, even and have that be the first time you've thought about the subject. So leveraging your personal work time, super important. And then I think that another thing that's so valuable, so important, is having some sense of quote unquote thinking time. Now, thinking time is a concept that was introduced to me by the guy that came up with it, um, Keith Cunningham, in the basically, in my opinion, like maybe the best business book ever written, called The Road Less Stupid. The Road Less Stupid. If you haven't read that, guys, by the way, like download that today or go buy a copy on Amazon today. The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. It's the best book. And anyways, this book is about thinking time, right? So that could be something formal, like the way Keith describes it in Thinking Time, where you start with a very powerful question, or it could be something informal where you're doing sort of like a whiteboard session, could be with yourself or with a key employee or a partner or something like that. So, item number 3, business owners actively plan and manage their time. And then they also, and item number 4 here is successful business owners also leverage their personal work time, right? And so it's not just about like the job of selling or recruiting, but it's having chunks of time dedicated to these other things. Another way that this could be said, or you might have heard it said, is working on the business and not in the business. Super important. So, all right, that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week. Again, don't forget, where do you go? What's the website? You know it, nlalive.com. Go to nlalive.com today. Join us in Scottsdale, Arizona in December. I assure you, you will not regret it. We'll see you then. All right. Have a great week. Talk to you next week.